Coming up on this edition of iState News, find out what some ISU students think about the challenges of parking on campus. Take an inside look at cyclonelife.net. And a Greenlee assistant professor explains new grade reporting guidelines. With Justin Walters and Chrissy Amaya. Maggie McGinnity with weather, and Derek Drew with sports. The November 21st edition of iState News starts now.
It doesn't happen often, but big change has come to Washington, D.C. The Democratic-controlled Senate voted today to change the rules of how to break a filibuster in the U.S. Senate. Under the old rules, it took 60 votes, a two-thirds majority, to break a filibuster. Now it only takes 51 votes, a simple Senate majority. The changes are only applied to executive and judicial nominees by the president, which the Senate has been struggling to get done for the last year. Republicans have blocked 3 judicial nominees to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, the second highest court in the land, by using the filibuster. Today, the Senate Democrats basically said enough and changed the rules. Many Democrats have said it needed to be done, including Senate Leader Mitch McConnell, who said it was time to get the Senate working again.
Florida Representative Trey Riddell pled guilty to cocaine charges Wednesday. Riddell was caught purchasing 3.5 grams of the drug from an undercover officer late Tuesday evening. After being in Congress for just 10 months, Riddell announced Wednesday he will be taking a leave of absence. Before the arrest, Riddell was leading a double life in Washington. He made a name for himself with his energetic style while also being connected to the city's drug trade. Riddell was sentenced to 1-year probation and will undergo substance abuse treatment in Florida.
The United States and Afghanistan have reached a deal of a bilateral security agreement about the role of American troops in the country for years to come. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said the deal was reached during conversations Wednesday between himself and Afghan President Ahmed Karzai. Afghan leaders will hold a meeting or grand assembly starting today to decide whether to accept or reject the deal, which lays out a limited support role for American forces beyond next year. If approved, the agreement would go into effect January 1, 2015, and last until the end of 2024 and beyond, unless terminated by mutual agreement and with 2 years' notice by either party.
Tomorrow will mark 50 years since the assassination of President Kennedy. Kennedy friends and family members, politicians, as well as thousands of tourists will gather for a memorial ceremony in Dallas. CNN's Ed Lavandera has more.
To honor the 50th anniversary of President Kennedy's death, President Obama and the First Lady laid a wreath at his gravesite in Arlington National Cemetery, joined by former President and Mrs. Clinton. 50 years later, the eternal flame still burns. Meanwhile, in Dallas, curious tourists still come to this place, the place where those fatal shots were fired half a century ago. For this city, tomorrow will be a delicate balancing act of honoring Kennedy's memory without sensationalizing his murder.
The city, in general, was highly embarrassed and ashamed. But what made it even worse, the city was branded unfairly as a city of hate.
Dallas has spent decades trying to shake off the reputation as the city that killed Kennedy, which is not easy, as that dark day of history is rehashed daily by trolley tours.
But look up on this corner right here, up to the 6th floor window.
And by those who don't believe that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, conspiracy theorists sell JFK memorabilia and tell their version of what happened every day.
It's an embarrassment to the city, and well, it should be. But, you know, the city didn't kill the president. Somebody else did, and it wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald.
What will not be present tomorrow? Those X's that for years have marked the spot on Elm Street where the president was shot. The city says it's relaying asphalt to level out the streets and remove any trip hazards. But undeniably, all eyes will be back on this city tomorrow. Generations have passed, but the fascination with what happened here remains.
It changed the course of history in many ways. what would have happened if Kennedy had lived?
Ed Lavendera, CNN, Dallas.
Well, Maggie, it's going to be hot in Dallas this week. How about here in Iowa?
Well, in Iowa, it's going to be exactly the opposite. I'll tell you more after the break.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Live with a human for a while and you get to know a few things. Like, I know she's actually not a morning person. I know she does strange tricks for no treats. I know that water makes her howl like crazy. I even know how the floor stays so clean. She's quick. But the one thing I will never for the life of me know is how she gets so tiny and inside that box. Natalie, how do you get so tiny?
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Welcome back to iState News. I'm Maggie McGinnity with your weather report. Currently, it's 27 degrees in Ames. We've got a wintry mix going on, and then we've got winds coming from the north at 18 miles per hour. Today's high was a little low. Our high of 38 was a bit below the normal average of 43 degrees, and our current temperature is way below that at 27 degrees. All over Iowa, we've got cold temperatures going on, except over in the southeast edge. A cold front has not quite reached it yet, but it has covered the rest of the state of Iowa. Nationally, we can see that it's not quite as chilly everywhere else as it is here. We've got a nice temperature of 50 degrees in Chicago and 51 in St. Louis. Tonight's lows will be even colder, getting down to the teens over on the west edge of the state in Sioux City and Council Bluffs. Then tomorrow's highs won't be very much warmer as a cold front continues to envelop Iowa with low temperatures. Looking at our forecast for tonight, it's going to snow, so if you're going out tonight, you'll want to break out your snow boots. However, the winds should be a little bit nicer, 6 to 11 miles per hour as opposed to the current 18. Tomorrow we'll have a high of 31, but a wind chill of -10. However, there won't be precipitation like there was today. Our 7-day forecast, looking at our game day Saturday. We've got a high of only 23 degrees, a low of 15. If you're going to the game, you're going to want to bundle up, bring a coat, maybe even a blanket. For the rest of the week, we've got some highs going into the beginning of Thanksgiving break with a high of 40 degrees on Wednesday. Well, that's all I've got for weather. Stay tuned. You're watching iState News.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy. Oh, and she even talks to it. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Kids will spend 57 minutes making me go splat.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
I see it!
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww. You should pick that up.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how. Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Welcome back to iState News. I'm Derek Drew with your Cyclone Sports Update. It has been a very difficult season for the Iowa State football team, but the Cyclones will look to pull out a win at the final home game of the season against a weak 3-7 Kansas team. The Cyclones are hoping to end the season on a high note and build off a win over the Jayhawks before going into their final game of the season at West Virginia. The Cyclones routed Kansas in Lawrence a year ago, manhandling the Jayhawks and heading back to Ames with an impressive 51-23 victory under their belt. That game was the unveiling of Sam Richardson at quarterback, who threw for 250 yards and 4 touchdowns. Richardson will not be starting this year as Grant Rohach will take the start. But either way, the Cyclones will be looking for a repeat performance of last year as they try to round up their first Big 12 victory of the season. Although it has been a disappointing season for the Cyclones, there has been one glimmer of light at the end of a dark tunnel. Iowa State's senior punter and team captain Kirby Vanderkamp has been invited to participate in the 2014 Senior Bowl. Vanderkamp has been the one guy showing consistent play at a high level this season. The West Des Moines native has been booming punts for the Cyclones for 4 seasons and is a 3-time All-Big 12 selection. Vanderkamp has recorded 17 punts of 50 yards or more this season and has planted 25 punts inside opponents' 20-yard line. The Cyclone punter's career average of 42.6 yards per punt is the 20th best career average in NCAA history. ESPN's Mel Kiper has even called Vanderkamp the best punter in the nation and expects him to be the first punter off the board in the 2014 NFL Draft. The Cyclone men's basketball team was able to hold on for a big 90-88 win over BYU. The 21-ranked Cyclones trailed the Cougars for most of the game, but a huge three-pointer from freshman guard Matt Thomas gave Iowa State the lead, and the boys never looked back. The Cyclones were able to contain one of BYU's best players, Tyler Hawes, who had been averaging 29.5 points per game, as well as 10.5 rebounds. Iowa State's offensive performance was led by big games from both DeAndre Kane and Melvin Edgem, each putting up 21 points. An impressive win for Hoiberg and the Cyclones as they improved their record to 4-0. The Cyclones will look to take down the Kangaroos of the University of Missouri-Kansas City on Monday. That's all I have for sports today. Coming up on iState News, apps for your holiday travel. You're watching iState News.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
Smartphones and tablets can do more than keep us entertained as we travel this holiday season. Karen Kaifa looks at how to navigate your travel smoothly with technology.
Regardless of how you're planning to get to your holiday destination, there are a variety of apps that promise to help you do it with ease. Those hitting the road can find their way with Google Maps. It's one of the most popular navigation apps on the market and gets high marks for accuracy. To avoid bumps in the road, Waze delivers user-generated alerts on heavy traffic, accidents, and even speed traps in real time.
Let's get started.
For those taking flight, check with your airline. Many have apps that allow users to check in, track their flights, and monitor checked baggage. When it comes to packing, an app called My TSA will let you know what to take and what you must leave behind when crossing airport security, while Packing Pro offers ready-made lists of essential items to pack based on the type and length of your trip. A long airport layover may not be on your travel radar, but bad weather might be. The iFly Pro app helps flyers navigate hundreds of airports with information on shops, lounges, Wi-Fi, and family-friendly options. And while traveling, planning ahead is key. So make sure you have a way to juice up your devices and a backup plan in case technology fails. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
Researchers have found that eating nuts may be tied to living a longer life. Nuts are full of unsaturated fats, protein, vitamins, and antioxidants that can help lower the risk of heart disease. Researchers from Brigham and Women's Hospital and Harvard Medical School looked at nuts eaten and deaths of all causes from a study of men and women. People who ate nuts were more likely to be leaner, more physically active, and a non-smoker. Studies have been done before about the studies of nuts tied to life longevity, but this study has been the largest.
That's all we have for today's news, weather, and sports. We'll be back on December 3rd.
Thank you for watching, and from all of us at iState News, we hope you and your family have a great Thanksgiving.